Conductors versus insulators. This is EQ5. One of the things you always have to understand, heat will move to cold. When we're talking about conductors and insulators for that matter, keep in mind our three ways of heat transfer. We have conduction, we have convection, and over here I'm going to write radiation. Conduction and convection require a linkage system. Right? A mechanical means, we're talking molecules, right? So let me show you, here I have my coffee thermos. Okay, you guys have seen this. And you can see, you're saying, well, Mr. Krebs, this is made of steel. It's going to conduct that heat either out or in inside a thermos. Well, let me show you something here. One thing you can't see, let me go back to this, okay, is the walls. Okay, and if I can do this on camera, right in here, this is a double wall. So you have an inside wall, you have an outside wall. The vessel is fairly thick with relation to how much liquid you can hold on the inside. That's because it's a double wall. So let me explain. Let me back up one moment. We're gonna talk about molecules. So let's talk about molecules of a solid, say a metal. And if you recall, metals form crystalline solids, regular repeating patterns. Molecules are tight, they're regular. So if you have, let's say we have 100 degrees on this side. We have 0 degrees on this side. The heat will move. In this particular case, it'll move quite efficiently, because each little vibration of each one of these molecules is going to be transmitted very efficiently to the surrounding molecules. So in this case, solids and steel are very efficient conductors. If I draw a parcel of air, okay, now then we have 100 here, and we have 0 here. Again, the heat will move. It's not going to move as efficiently in this case because our linkage system is a little sloppier. So any little vibration in this molecule, it will be transmitted to the others and so on through, but they're again not efficiently. So air will conduct heat, right? Solids, and in this case steel, will conduct heat very well, right? So inside my thermos, let's see, I can probably squeeze this right here. If I draw a cross section of my thermos, and this is the double wall, so in here my coffee's, I don't know, say it's 120 degrees Fahrenheit. In my room, well, my room's usually cold in the winter time, so let's say it was 65 degrees Fahrenheit on the outside. That heat from my thermos, it will move, right? But inside of this wall, there's no air particles, right? So what's going to not happen, you're not going to get any of the kinetic energy of the molecules inside. They're not going to be able to move through this vacuum to the molecules outside. There's no linkage system. This is a vacuum, right? At least that's what was advertised when I bought the thermos. Also, and you're saying, but it's steel, so won't the heat transfer through really quick, really efficiently? Well, no, because on the inside it was reflective. Let me show you that one more time. So inside, it's reflective as well. So what happens, and sorry, this is getting a little bit smaller as I go. So any heat, any radiation, if it were try to get through, it will reflect. So heat hits there and gets reflected back in. Now, is that ideally that works 100%, but something tells me that's not true. Some of those infrareds, some will transmit through. One way you can tell is when you have a thermos full of a hot liquid, in my case coffee. If the inside's really hot but the outside's still really cold, then that's good. That means that it's holding the heat on the inside. If you have a thermos that gets really, really hot or really, really cold in the summertime, if you have ice in there, then that means the heat is moving through, and that's bad. It means it's not insulated very well. Okay, back to conductors and insulators. In the wintertime, you have a puffy coat. Inside your coat is you, and 98.6, and outside, let's say it's -20. You have this puffy coat. Obviously, the thicker the coat, the more air between you and the outside. Now remember what I said previously. Air will conduct heat, but not very well. Remember, the linkage system is a little sloppy. It's not very efficient. Right? Insulation in your home works the same way. It works by trapping air. One of the other things you can do, this would look, stylistically, it might look a little goofy. You might have a foil shell, maybe on the inside and the outside. What that would do is any radiation, infrared, that hits will reflect back. You might look a little bit goofy, but that would work even better, right? Inside this coat, you will still get air movement. You will still get convection, right? If I draw a wall cavity in your house, right? So outside it's -20. Inside your house, let's say you keep it at a nice 70 degrees on the inside, right? Inside that wall, you will put insulation. We usually draw it like this, right? That heat will move to cold. It will. The insulation, the thicker it is, obviously different materials, that'll help to slow it down, right? Insulation has something called an R value, which just means the resistance to heat transfer. You might have seen that, right? Today's day and age, modern construction techniques, there's a lot of different ways that we can improve insulating to reduce energy costs and reduce the amount of energy that we need to keep our houses warm. And it saves on utility bills. One of the other things that you can do, sometimes on the exterior of the houses, they will put up a rigid foam that has a foil face to it. And that'll also, remember that heat will move, but it'll go slow, right? It'll move throughout the wall cavity, but any infrared that hits, any radiation, whoops, actually it'll go to that, and it'll reflect back. Sorry about that, right? So conductors and insulators, it's sort of a relative term. Heat will move. Some things promote it really, really well, and some act to slow it down as much as possible. But nevertheless, the heat will move.